Time for Dirty Air. We are live once again on your Thursday, talking short track racing, talking all kinds of cool stuff on the show. My name is Rodney Rodriguez. Thank you all for being a part of this. And we are live on Racing America, and we've got a lot to unpack and talk about this afternoon, this evening. I would love your comments. Anytime that I'm on the show, when I say that it's live, that means that you guys can comment right there, and we can have some interactive conversations on the program. A little bit of a change because I've been talking about throughout the year that I've been doing the 2024 short track spotlight. And what I'd planned to do this week is I was actually going to do New All-American Speedway because the Grand National Series was going to make their way out there. Had it really cool set up with Issac and Jason Kitzmiller. However, that race has been, everything on that card has been moved to the 13th of April. So I've kind of made that change right there. We're going to make that move, and we'll move them. That way we can do it either a week before or the week of the race, because I want to spotlight the track and I want to spotlight the Grand Nationals. However, coming up here in just a little bit, Casey Klein is going to join me. So we'll talk with him fresh off of the Rattler. We'll get everything that's going on with him. And then coming up a little bit later on, we'll talk to one of our favorites. Bubba Winslow is going to join as well. So that's a little bit later on in the program. So all of that right here on Dirty Air. So, man, I've got a lot to, like I said, lots to unpack. We'll recap the Rattler. We're going to preview Pensacola, because Pensacola's got a loaded weekend. I'm sure you probably watched the Bull Ring last night, and then in the groove with the guys from Pensacola on Tuesday night. So I'm definitely going to add to that, because that is a fantastic weekend that's going to be happening right there. So we'll preview all of that. But then at some point, I do want to talk a little bit about some NASCAR tire stuff. NASCAR is going to be in my backyard in Austin this weekend, so I'm going to touch on that. I do want to talk a little bit. Some of you may have seen my rant on Monday when it came to dirt track racing tires and everything happening there with the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series. Probably going to touch on that just a little bit, but right out of the box, the big news today is that NASCAR taking over the operations of Bowman Gray Stadium. So, and this is, they're going to manage this, and this is effective immediately, like right now. I mean, they're doing it right now. And just everything that I've read, I mean, whether it be on the Facebook or on X or wherever it is, I mean, it's like, oh my God, the world is ending. I mean, it's like, it's done. You know, and I understand that. Let me preface before I get into any deeper conversation that I'm going to have about this. And this conversation is probably going to continue throughout the show. It's going to continue to come up, and I'd love your comments. I mean, you guys feel free to, I mean, throw it at me. I mean, I don't care if you agree with me, if you disagree with me, whatever your thoughts are, you just tell me. You just tell me what you're thinking. But I think that, I think a lot of the one comment that I keep seeing over and over is, "Oh, it's over. It's going to turn into a crap show. It's never going to be the same. It's ruined." You know, I think that when you come to a NASCAR at this point, let me just first say this. I think that NASCAR learned with the North Wilkesboro thing, all of that happened. And here we are all of these years later, and North Wilkesboro sitting right back in the middle of that schedule once again. and we're wanting to give them a points paying race. So when it comes to the executives, as I like to say at NASCAR, I think that when they're doing something like this, they learn from their mistakes. It's a very different time than it was back then. And I think that no, I haven't actually read somebody say that the North Wilkesboro thing is why NASCAR is going to ruin this. I think I've been trying to just read in, and I'm feeding in thinking that maybe, um, they're thinking, well, NASCAR is going to ruin it because they're going to change things or whatever they're going to do. Let me tell you something. I have heard from multiple people, and not just today. I have heard from multiple people that the infrastructure there needs some improvements. And if you're a Bowman Gray Stadium fan, this is great because those improvements have been needed for a long time and it hasn't been done. The county's been working on that. I mean, the Hawkins family they have run that operation, and by the way, they're going to continue to be an integral part of this operation. And when I say integral, I think that it means a hell of a lot more. I think that NASCAR has learned from prior mistakes that you just can't take this thing and change everything. The weekly racing, everything that has happened there is going to continue. The family's still involved, the GM is still involved, and I'm going to enlighten you guys on something. And you can verify this on NASCAR.com. You can read this with your own 2, 4, 6 eyes, however many that you have. This all came about when the testing started for the Clash. The Clash was going to be at the Coliseum, and they needed to find something that was comparable. And Bowman Gray was that place, quarter mile, flat racetrack. All of these conversations started because it was the folks at Bowman Gray talks with Greg Garrison, where Greg Garrison said, "You know what? At some point we're going to need to do something different. We're going to need to pass this off, and whatever the case is going to be right there." So, it seems like to me that a lot of the misconception that I'm seeing at this point is that folks are jumping in saying that NASCAR's overtaken it. Sorry, that they've gone in and they've swooped up the lease. 26 years is this lease that NASCAR has undertook in doing this. But these conversations were started by the folks at Bowman Gray. And that's what happens to a local short track is at some point, whether it's passed on to a family member, whether it's inherited by whatever, one of two things are going to happen. Number one, it's going to go in the shitter because it's got a bad promoter and it's got folks that are not really with the same plan of what has made the track successful. Or number two, the family members are going to look at the money and say, "Are you kidding me? I'm taking that. You can have this." That's happened so often. I mean, I've seen it time after time, and that's the whole that's kind of the I'm going to be saying misconception a lot today because it's like, we hold all these places endearing to us, in the heart. And, we've grown up and been at these racetracks and our memories that we have there and all of this. But it's like when a family member gets a hold of it and then that land becomes extremely valuable and, it outdoes it outlives its purpose. A family member looks at that and they're like, "Memory's my ass. Show me the money." That's what happens. That's the two scenarios that happen a lot. But with this, I think like I was talking about where NASCAR has learned from their mistakes to where they're not going to do things that are going to hurt them in the public eye and hurt them in the bank account and hurt them. Now, NASCAR's not going to do this if it's not something that they feel is going to work out for them. I don't think that you're going to find that Ben Kennedy and the France family and any of these folks that they're going to go in. They're not going to get rid of weekly modifieds. They're not going to get rid of all of those weekly classes. They're not going to get rid of all of that stuff that has made this place what it is. Oh, by the way, this place started back in 1949. This was the original NASCAR weekly track. Go back and look at the chronicles of NASCAR. What NASCAR is doing, I think what NASCAR finally figured out a good long time ago, NASCAR had to eat a lot of crow. NASCAR ate a whole lot of crow, and they had to figure out that some of the things that they did in the past, and when I talk about the past, I'm talking about with different race car variations, with leaning on these mile and a halves, with the road course racing, and I think this is a big week. This is a big week in NASCAR. Number one, because of this, NASCAR's gone and they've gone back to the roots. They're not changing anything, guys. This place is still used as a football stadium. You've got a college football team right there in Winston-Salem that uses this thing as a football field. It just happens to double as a racetrack. And I don't know how many of you go to high school football games and you roll up there when they still have a track around it, and it's like, man, this would be great to have a stadium here. There's an old stadium out by the Austin airport that is no longer used by that school district. And every time that I take a flight, I look at that thing. It's in pristine condition. That school district takes such great care of that thing. I think they play some middle school football there, maybe. Every time I go over there, I'm like, man, that would be a great Bowman Gray. NASCAR's not going to piss this one away. I can tell you that. And I've seen I think the plan is, obviously, number one, don't change what you're doing on the local, on the weekly. On the weekly. Don't change any of that, because that is what has made that place. And that's the other part that with the arguments that I keep seeing about how this is going to get ruined. I mean, to me, the nostalgia of Bowman Gray Speedway is the fact that in 1949, it was a flat racetrack that provided amazing racing and was all the stuff that I'm already telling you. It just happened to have become, as we have gotten later into the tenure here of Bowman Gray, it became the madhouse. It became what we saw on TV. It became the fighting, and it became the cussing, and it became all of this. Yeah, man, they 17, 18,000 people. They're going to pack that place all the time. I don't see, NASCAR has not said that they're changing any of the personnel. Like I said, the Hawkins family, they're staying in place. The GM, promoter, whatever the hell he is, he's staying in place. They're not changing anything. They're not going to change anything. It one of those things to where these days clicks and drama, controversy. Look what we just did this past weekend in Bristol. We had a controversy that happened by accident, and holy smoke, the TV ratings are going out of control. And there's still people that are upset because NASCAR gave them what they've been looking for so long. But nothing is going to change here. Nothing is going to change. If anything, what's going to happen here, what is good for Bowman Gray Stadium, is that the infrastructure is going to be enhanced. I am more than sure. I'm not a betting man. Actually, I am, but I say I'm not. One of the first things they're going to go and do in there, they're going to fix that infrastructure. Not fix, update the infrastructure. They're going to go in there, and when I say infrastructure, I'm talking about high-speed internet. I'm talking about fiber cabling. I'm talking about things that are going to make this place even more compelling. The on-track product, I'll be honest with you guys, I hope it does change a little bit. I've raced. I still race every now and then. I'm not a full-time competitor. But when you get these guys that are out there running each other over and we're having all these catastrophic, all of this stuff, I'm not a fan of that. I mean, I know that people get all wound up and really get into that stuff. Man, you give me bull ring, short track racing, fender to fender, wheel to wheel. They're sitting on a gold mine over there with those modifieds. I mean, that whole thing, that is where I was very glad with the Madhouse show or whatever that thing was called, is that those drivers were showcased, because that's some of the best that you're going to see in the country. But you're not going to mess with that. What they're going to do is they're going to go in there and they're going to tweak, and they're going to make it better, is what they're going to do. And when I say that they're going to make it better, that means that they're not going to go in there and change what you guys really find appealing. I would say I think the opener is April 20th, and they're going to go hard at work doing whatever they're planning to do. And I can promise you that these people, they have a great plan in place to make this place better. And they're probably at work right now. And this isn't something, when I talked about the conversation that how all of this started, it was 2.5 years ago, guys. This wasn't something that happened today, where NASCAR went in and said, we're taking this thing over. We're going to do what we did at North Wilkesboro. That ain't what they did. That ain't what happened. And I can tell you, some things are probably going to change, but I think it's going to be for the better. First thing, the Clash. They got it. NASCAR's in charge of this because of the Clash. I don't think it's that. I don't think they would have assumed a 26-year lease for a freaking exhibition race, guys. That's not the reason why. I think NASCAR has truly figured out that they may have screwed the pooch on some stuff in the past, and that they're really wanting to get back to the roots of short track racing, which is what we want them to do, right? We want them to be a little more involved. I think where that is a double-sided question is, depending who you ask, what do you want NASCAR to do? Do you want NASCAR to give exposure to your local track? Do you want NASCAR to pay your purse? Do you want NASCAR to put you on weekly TV? Oh, by the way, there's 4 streaming people that are now going to be a part of this in 2025. Exposure. That's the other part. Exposure on our sport. Short track. Exposure on a staple, on a tradition, guys. Before we just say that it's Katie bar the door, it's all done, it's no good, it's just another hostile takeover, let's take a look and see what happens. Let's judge that opener. And I'm here to tell you, and again, you guys will have to tell me if I'm wrong on that opening date. If it's not April the 20th, feel free to pop it in the chat right there. But look, it's on Flow Sports all the time. Everyone is on Flow Sports. I mean, my man Dillner is over there doing play-by-play on this. It's a great following. If the place isn't jammed on opening night, I'm here to tell you it's because of that whole mindset of I hate NASCAR. Because they ain't changing anything. They're not going to change anything that is not for the better. I truly believe that, guys. And if you think I'm wrong, if you think that I'm just toting that NASCAR flag, well, if you've known me long enough, you know that when NASCAR does something wrong, I'm calling their ass out and calling them on the carpet, like I'm going to do the Dirt Track series a little bit later on. Guys, I don't know where Mr. Klein is, but he picked a good time to not hop on, because we are 18 minutes into Dirty Air on a Thirsty Thursday, and I am ranting on about all of this. Give it a chance. It's going to work out. But you guys stick around, because I can tell you what is coming up next. We're talking to one of the good old boys, and he was a winner last week over at South Alabama Speedway in the Super Stocks. Man, I love having conversations. Bubba Winslow is going to join Dirty Air. That is coming up. You guys stick around. Clean air is good. Times like this, even on days when ruthless NASCAR has taken over Bowman Gray Speedway, Dirty Air is just a tad bit better. You guys stick around. More coming up. The Short Track U.S. Nationals are back on Saturday, April 6th for one last lap around the legendary high banks of Bristol Motor Speedway. Come see over 200 of the best grassroots racers in North America from the Vors Compact Touring Series, CRA Street Stocks, and Midwest Modified Tour. It's the Short Track U.S. Nationals, the last lap at Bristol Motor Speedway on Saturday, April 6th, and you can only catch it on Racing America.
I'm Jeff Burton.
I'm Ward Burton. Please join us March 28th for the Rogers Heating and Cooling Orange Crush 200.
Ward and Jeb join regional late model stars and the Rogers Heating and Cooling Orange Crush 200 benefiting the Ward Burton Wildlife Foundation. Limited pre-sale tickets available for a discount until March 22nd or buy at the gate on race day. It's the Orange Crush 200 Thursday, March 28th at Orange County Speedway, and you can see it only on racingamerica.tv.
Racers are dedicated to winning. And Chevrolet Performance's 3 factory-sealed Circle Track crate engines can help you get to the checkered flag first. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a touring hero, on dirt or pavement, Chevrolet Performance Circle Track crate engines are engineered to win. Right out of the box. Racers are dedicated to winning, and Chevrolet Performance's 3 factory-sealed Circle Track crate engines can help you get to the checkered flag first. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a touring hero, on dirt or pavement, Chevrolet Performance Circle Track crate engines are engineered to win. Right out of the box.
Dirty Air rolls on your Thursday as we great conversation that we were having there. The breaking news, Bowman Gray Stadium. Something to talk about for sure right there. So that conversation that we were having, and of course you guys can continue to go ahead and post your comments as we are live. So let me know what you're thinking with all of that. But let's get down to what we're really here to do. We're here to talk about. We're going to talk about the Rattler weekend coming up a little bit later on. We'll dig into all of that, but we're actually going to talk about the Rattler weekend right now because big weekend for one of our show favorites, parking it in Victory Lane. We're heading over to Florida. Talk to our man, Bubba Winslow. Mr. Bubba, how we doing, brother?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
I'm doing well, my friend. I'm doing well. How's the world treating you after the Rattler? Every time I've gone on the Rattler, I come home and I get sick.
No, we've been pretty blessed. It's always a good way to start out the year, right? If you can win. So we was fortunate enough to park it there last Friday. First, to give thanks to the Dykes family, man. They really put in the effort to get that race in. A lot of places would have just threw the towel in, and I'm here to say if they did, and the postponed date would not have worked out for us. So we was fortunate enough to get to run that race and win it. So again, just big thanks to them for doing all they could to get that in.
So, Bubba, I was supposed to be there on the call for that, and I got held up here in Texas. I couldn't even get out of Austin Friday. It was so bad, the weather along the coast there heading that way. Kind of talk about that. How was that Friday when you're just kind of sitting there wondering if it's going to work out? Had to kind of be in limbo a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. I can tell you it's probably a good thing our car was pretty dominant, because my guys had plenty of time to sit back and enjoy some cold beverages, and it made for a great rain delay for them for sure. But we just, anytime we're at the racetrack and get to hang out, it's a blessing, and we make the best of it, whether it's sunshine or rain. So
yeah,
just worked out.
No, it's perfect. It's a damn good thing you had the setup right. Yeah, that
Yeah,
ain't no telling
for
what
sure.
that would have been kind of interesting right there if that would have gone down. So Bubba, talk about the race, man. That was a stacked field, man. That was a lot of super stocks in that race. You had some big hitters in there. Kind of walk through that, man. You pretty much took care of business.
Well, I appreciate it. Honestly, probably a week or so prior to the race, we wasn't planning on going. We was going to go and help my brother-in-law run his car, and they kind of changed some rules up, and was able to take our Five Flags car there and fit within the rules. And actually, Cody Bristow called and talked us into it, and she's like, "If y'all don't bring that car, you're stupid." So couldn't let her call me out. Too bad, right?
Yeah,
So
sure.
fortunate enough, that just. But it's a testament to how good the competitiveness here at Five Flags is. You take a top 3 car or top 5 car somewhere, anywhere, really. I've been all over the Southeast, and you're pretty confident in what you got, because you race to get such good equipment here at Pensacola. You can go anywhere.
Yeah, that's for sure. I imagine that does get a little complicated. I know there with the sportsman and everything that Ricky's done there. He's kind of done a little refining right there, but it's kind of gotten into one of those things to where some places it works, some places it don't. I know here in Texas we were trying different variations of that car, and hell, none of them worked. So I imagine that gets a little tricky sometimes.
It does. Each track has got its own its thoughts on cost saving and this, that, and the other. But, for the most part, they're pretty similar. I really could see a lot more of the outlaw style cars opening up to their super stock kind of rules and going over there. It wasn't too bad of changes. But, we enjoy going to Op. It's a great place to race. Chill atmosphere, and it's a lot less stressful when we go there. So we may pop back in. Who knows?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you're right. That family, they do a tremendous job, man. That really is like going to an old school racetrack with everything that they do. So, what all do you have on tap this year? Obviously, Pensacola. You mentioned maybe Op there. Are there going to be some other trips there for you, or does it a lot of times matter with other things, life things? I know life tends to screw shit up sometimes when it comes to racing.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's tough, man. It's trying to run a business, and Troy's racing a bando now.
Oh, wow.
We're definitely committed to probably running, probably 70% of the outlaw races around here. You try and go to Mobile. Would like to come over there. Probably run all the Montgomery races if we can. I think Nashville pulled out of the schedule, so we don't get to go back up there this year, which is unfortunate. But we get to race as much as we can. With Troy racing and my girls in sports now, it's tough, but we do the best we can. I can tell you that. We save on power bill for not being home, but we spend it on the tire bill.
So how is that for you? I know I only had daughters, and they didn't want any part of this stuff. They were doing other stuff, but I got a lot of dudes, my age and younger, that now they've got kids and bandos and quarter midgets and all of that. How is it being on that other side, you as the dad?
That bando, man, works me to death. I'm telling you, that thing's got my ticket. It's I work on that thing more than I do these big cars, honestly. But he's still tearing stuff up, right? He's learning, and he has his fair share of uh-ohs and tear stuff up. But for the most part, it's enjoyable, right? It's so cool to watch him go out there and race and learn something each race, and he'll beat himself up and kind of be down in the dumps because he didn't run as good as he thought he should. But it's like I tell him, as long as you learn something, then it's a positive, right?
Right.
So he impresses me. And then of course my girls, one plays soccer and then the other one's softball. So
wow.
I ain't much help for them. I don't know what to tell them on that deal, but the racing deal I can kind of help him out a little bit on.
Well, and that stuff, soccer and softball, that stuff is nonstop, man. It's like all the time. I mean, there's always something. It seems like. I did want to ask you. So it seems like Super Stocks Outlaws, whatever you want to call them, these cars, man, really on the upswing. It looks like all across the coast. Really starting to see car counts grow. You get folks moving into this division, man. I think this season is going to be a really big deal for this division.
I hope so. You know what I mean? It's something that honestly, it's definitely got room for growth. There's some improvements that can be done, I think, throughout it. But for the most part, it's a pretty solid local division, right? I mean, it's obviously no national super late model tour, but for a regular event, I think you'll see a pretty solid car count anywhere you go.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I like about it, that it's not a national thing. That's need more of that. And actually, I'm going to be reaching out to you guys at the Houston track that I also work at. Our Outlaw division got a huge sponsor in there, so maybe doing something bigger later in the year for that division. So I'll be reaching out to you guys, and maybe y'all come see us in Texas.
Yeah, we would like to make that trip for sure. Obviously the cost of logistics and everything get over there would have to check everything out. But that's definitely a track that I'd enjoy coming to. We always look to expand a little bit, and that's definitely on the list to get to see. So
and we got plenty of beer. Tell the crew we got plenty of beer.
You got them sold. Yeah, you got them sold. Then there's and it doesn't have to. I mean, just Natty Lights, just the cheap stuff. They'll be happy with that.
See, this is why I like you guys.
That's right.
That's why I like you guys so much. Got one sitting right here on the desk, my man. Bubba, congratulations, man. Great way to start the season out there at a big one of those Triple Crown type events. Congratulations on that win, and look forward to seeing more of that coming up. Thanks for joining the show this afternoon, my brother.
I appreciate you having me. It's just always an honor to get to talk to you guys. And again, thank you.
You betcha, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy.
All right. There he is, Bubba Winslow. Great conversation right there as he wins the super stock portion of the 48th annual Hardee's Rattler 250 over at South Alabama Speedway. And like I mentioned in there, I was brokenhearted on Friday. The fact that I was not able to, it was a comedy of errors the way all of this worked out for me. Originally, it was going to be a Thursday trip, and a lot of times I fly to these just because of work purposes. I mean, just logistics there of long drives like that. So was going to go Thursday, was kind of watching weather, and then I'm like, well, you know what? I think this is going to be kind of jacked up, so I'll move it to Friday. So I go to the Austin airport, and I'm sitting there for about 5 hours and get delayed, I think 5 or 6 times. And then I finally get okay, your flight has been canceled. I'm thinking, okay, so that's just to Houston. So I'm like, anywhere, get me to Panama City, get me to Pensacola, just give me somewhere near. Get me somewhere near. No, sir. No. Everything. I mean, weather is a mess. We can't get you anywhere there. When can I get there? We'll get you there Saturday. All right. What time? The soonest we can get you there is 4:00. What time did the show start on Saturday? 4:00. But as Bubba mentioned right there, I mean, how about the John Dykes and the family there with Ryan and all of those guys and Malia getting that? I mean, it's so incredible, the fact that it's impressive to me that you see when we talk about racetrack management, and especially coming off of the conversation that we just had about what's going to happen there at Bowman Gray, is when you have folks that have been doing it for so long, like they have been there at South Alabama Speedway, that they are the precision. They make the early call. And of course, with Ricky Brooks, I mean, that's a guy where he's going to look at the big picture right there, and he's going to go to his drivers. And that was the whole conversation right there, is when that decision was made. If you go back and you look at some of those posts that were made right there, they went and they discussed with the drivers okay, is this something that is going to work for you? And obviously, it's one of those things to where, like, like Bubba was just talking about, coming to Texas, logistics and financially, all that stuff has to work out, and it did for them. And man, what a day of racing on Saturday as everything happens. Bubba Pollard does it once again. Bubba Pollard wins his third Rattler 250. Jake Finch coming home second. Jake Finch, the winner of the Baby Rattler 125, presented by Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet. Of course, that's one of the partners right here on our show. And a big shout out, of course, as always, to Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet. I mean, that was a big investment that they made right there. And I was really proud to see, as I was kind of following along right there, to see, the Rogers Dabbs GM Performance Parts, seeing the banners right there all across the top of those Pro Late models. And I think that is only going to continue as, of course, Rogers Dabbs has also gone in, and you're going to have a great series and a great challenge right there with the 4 racetracks that are going to be a part of the Pro Late Model Challenge that has been put together by Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet. So again, Rogers Dabbs, GM Performance Parts, whether it's powertrain, collision, engines, all of that parts, the best price that you're going to find in the country. You need to go to get a hold of RDC, and that is going to save you a lot of money. I can tell you, I can tell you on a crate motor, you're going to save a couple of grand at least that you're going to save on that. But the whole thing is, you make a phone call, you call my man Ryan Polk over there at Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet, and that already really good deal may just get just a tad bit better. It's folks like Rogers Dabbs Chevrolet, GM Performance, that continue to make this sport even better. Also got to give a shout out right there. We heard Bubba talking about, hey, how about another win in the modified for my best friend, Cody Brusso. Cody Brusso goes to South Alabama Speedway. Very familiar with that place as that young lady, and that's my people right there. When that one wins, it's always very exciting for me. That Natty Light that I was showing you guys a while ago, talking there with him, may have had one or two when I saw my pal Brusso win that race there at South Alabama Speedway. That's my people over there. That's my kinfolk. That's my girlfriend, as I like to say, with Cody Brusso. So a great weekend. And, of course, you had all the great racing happening at Hickory as well. Got a little out of control there with some of the stuff happening there. Kind of goes back to the whole conversation with the Madhouse. I don't think that we need that all the time, but every now and then that stuff does kind of add to some of the excitement. All right, guys, when I come back, I'm going to talk about next week. So I've got a huge guest. I made a phone call this week and got to talk to a true legend when it comes to racers in the Southeast. Not only a racer, well, still a racer, but doing other things as well that keep the sport alive and rolling. Oh, by the way, I've had some folks that have asked me, the Dirty Air merchandise is now available. Again, this is not an infomercial for me selling shirts and caps, but if you do want, you can't get a polo, but if you want a cap, if you want a hoodie, if you want a Dirty Air t-shirt, right there, scan that QR code right there, and it takes you to my friends right here in my hood, down the road, about 81 miles down the road, over in San Antonio. It is On Demand Shirts. I run their ads. They are a proud supporter of me with Dirty Air, and of course on the Revved Up Sports Show. They do lots of cool things, and they would love to get your merchandise for you. And message me, and I'll tell you why it's a great idea to call On Demand Shirts rather than one of these online sites, because it just makes more sense, because they are very value conscious when it comes to that. Again, as well, thank you to Racing America, as we are just flying right here on a Thirsty Thursday, night number 1 of March Madness. How's your bracket doing? I know we're all racing people here, but I know that everybody fills out a bracket. Hell, who the hell doesn't fill out a bracket? But anyway, so coming up, I'm going to tell you who's going to be on the program next week. We'll go over that. Going to talk a little bit about that NASCAR tire situation and more. Clean air is good. Times like this, dirty air just a tad bit better. You guys stick around. More coming up.
I'm Jeb Burton.
I'm Ward Burton. Please join us March 28th for the Rogers Heating and Cooling Orange Crush 200.
Ward and Jeb join regional late model stars and the Rogers Heating and Cooling Orange Crush 200 benefiting the Ward Burton Wildlife Foundation. Limited pre-sale tickets available for a discount until March 22nd or buy at the gate on race day. It's the Orange Crush 200 Thursday, March 28th at Orange County Speedway, and you can see it only on racingamerica.tv. Dirty Air rolls on your Thursday on Racing America. Man, a great conversation right there. Man, I always love talking to. It's like the Bubbas. When the Bubbas come on this show, it's always really good stuff. And this time it was Bubba Winslow talking to us about his win there at the Rattler 250 weekend at South Alabama Speedway. All right quick before I get to the guest that I want to talk about next week, I do want to touch a little bit on the NASCAR race at Bristol. And again, this will be short. Not going to do the whole Bowman Gray thing. I mean, I know that was a little extreme, but I'm sorry. I've had all that in my loins all day and hadn't been able to talk about that. And you guys were the only ones that I was able to tell that to. I love that race. I like the fact that you had a race where you had guys having to go back to, you put this race back in the hands of the driver. Drivers were having to conserve tires. Drivers were having to drive smarter. Drivers were having to back off the throttle a little bit and do things that we as short track racers have learned to do in different scenarios. And one of the things that, conversations that I've been hearing throughout the week, it's like, well, I can't believe these guys were running 19-second laps or, 18-second laps. Nobody would have known the lap time if the damn thing wasn't scrolling across there. And that's where a lot of times innovation is great. But at the same time, it's like, we don't know that. If we didn't have that, you would have just seen them out there on the racetrack. But what this did was, and it was a fluke, that it seems like NASCAR figured out a way to hopefully help the short track package and to make those races a little more intriguing. And I think that would probably work on some 1.5 mile tracks. And again, a lot of that was stuff when it comes to resin versus PJ1 versus asphalt versus concrete. And I think that's where all the different things that factor in. And we see this in short track racing because, I've got great friends and alliances with people at Hoosier and American Racer, or American Racer and Hoosier. And, tire compound is extremely important. And depending who you talk to, I mean, it's like you've got friends, or you've got drivers or race teams on either side of which compound or which tire is better and which one is going to cycle better. And like Hoosier making the advances with what they're doing is something that I think is great for the sport. And American Racer just keeps doing what they're doing. And they continue to get rave reviews. I mean, I got rave reviews from folks that I talked to after the Rattler weekend on the American Racers. And of course, I got rave reviews from folks after the first few super late model events on the Hoosier. So that kind of tells you right there just how all that works. But I think that the NASCAR race at Bristol gave us what we wanted. I mean, extremely disappointed nobody was there. I mean, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm tired of that battle. But it came down to tire conservation. Put it in the hands of the dude in the seat, in the hands of the crew chief, and managing your tires. And I think when it all comes down to it, I mean, I think he had 54 lead changes among 16 drivers. That's not bad. And the one thing that I did hear from a lot of people when I made the argument, not argument, but when I made my point on the X was, well, Rodney, how can you be excited about this when you only had 5 cars on the lead lap? Well, guys, back in the day, those races that we longed for, we had at times 2 cars on the lead lap, 3 cars on the lead lap, 4 cars on the lead lap. So we extended ourselves this past weekend. We'll see what happens. Time to go to the road course. But anyway, so sorry to be so NASCAR heavy today, but it's been a very busy day with everything going on with the Bowman Gray situation there. If you missed it, if you haven't seen it, if you've been under a rock, NASCAR taking over the operations right there of Bowman Gray Speedway or Bowman Gray Stadium. Sorry, got to get the stadium part right because that's what it is. And they will do that immediately. And the schedule stays as it is. Weekly racing stays as it is. There's no changes to classes. There's no indication that they're going to be knocking buildings down. I think, like I said earlier, if they're going to do anything, they're just going to help the infrastructure and so forth for that. Next Thursday, you saw the ad. As a matter of fact, let's just run it again. Big race coming up next Thursday that you will catch right here on Racing America.
I'm Jeb Burton.
I'm Ward Burton. Please join us March 28th for the Rogers Heating and Cooling Orange Crush 200.
Ward and Jeb join regional late model stars and the Rogers Heating and Cooling Orange Crush 200 benefiting the Ward Burton Wildlife Foundation. Limited pre-sale tickets available for a discount until March 22nd or buy at the gate on race day. It's the Orange Crush 200 Thursday, March 28th at Orange County Speedway, and you can see it only on racingamerica.tv. Right, you will see it right here on racingamerica.tv. Really cool things about that. Number one, obviously having Ward Burton back. I mean, that's, I think, first race since 2012. So to see him back behind the wheel, I heard him talking with Jess and Alan last night on the Bull Ring, talking about where it was really Jeb, kind of the catalyst with all that. And that's great. I mean, when you get somebody, back behind the wheel like that, a true NASCAR legend. I mean, you may not have 200 wins, but I mean, that's a guy, Ward Burton, that you just love that guy. That is an instrumental guy when you look at the chronicles of short track racing and NASCAR racing. And with that, that you've got money going to the Ward Burton Wildlife Foundation. That in and of itself to me is huge. I am a animal person. If you follow me on the socials, you know that I am a dog person, and so for that right there, in and of itself, I think that's going to be really cool. Coming up at Orange County next Thursday, the Orange Crush 200, and you can see it right here on racingamerica.tv. That being said, what I'm looking to do next week is, so obviously this show would be running at the same time as that. So next Wednesday, and I'm making this executive move, haven't even told anybody at Racing America. Hopefully they don't fire me after this, but looking to move Dirty Air to Wednesday of next week. So slot Dirty Air in where the Bull Ring would be, but it's an off week for the Bull Ring, I think. If I'm wrong, I'll correct that on social media. So at this point, let's plan for next week, right here on Racing America and all the different channels on the X and everywhere that you find it, on Instagram, Twitch. Dirty Air, 6 p.m. Central next Wednesday. And so happy to say that I'm going to be joined shortly after the thing fires off. And at this point, he's the only one that I have scheduled, because when it comes to conversations with guys like this, I just ramble and go on and on and on and on, because I want to pick these legends' brains. The one and only Hall of Famer, Johnny Stokes from Mississippi, will join me right here on the Dirty Air Waves. Johnny Stokes going to the dirty side. He will join me next Wednesday. And don't worry, we'll get all that up on the social, so you're sure to know. So kind of set your thing there. Watch the Orange Crush 200 on Thursday, and then on Wednesday, when you would normally watch the Bull Ring, check out Dirty Air with me, and we will talk to the great Johnny Stokes. It's going to be a great conversation. Lots of feature wins, and I got to tell you, I was in Mississippi about a month ago on a work thing, and I went and took a look at his racetrack. Holy moly. So we'll definitely talk about that. When I talked to Johnny Stokes yesterday, you know what he was doing? I'll give you one guess. I'm going to give you two guesses. He was working on his racetrack. He said, I don't have a lot of time to talk right now. I'll do whatever you need me to do. You just tell me what to do and when, but I got to work on my racetrack. I got a race coming up this week. So, yeah, that's next Wednesday. Johnny Stokes will join me right here on Dirty Air. Great conversations today. Sorry that a couple of folks didn't pop in, but hey, that's why I rant, and that's why I go on. And apparently you guys were sticking around to watch it and listen to it. So at any point, you guys feel free to chime in and drop messages. You can follow me on the X at the Rodney R. You can always message the Facebook page on the show, and of course the Racing America page, and we can continue the conversations throughout the week as we roll on. All right, guys, time to get out of here. Go enjoy your March Madness. Big weekend coming up. Before I go, got to tell you what's happening in Pensacola. Bubba Pollard, some lucky fan could win $1,000 if Bubba Pollard wins not only the ARCA East race, wins the sorry, I'm laughing before I even get to that part. The Stars super late model race and the Crown Vic race. Bubba Pollard in the Crown Vic. So yeah, one lucky fan might pick up $1,000. What a way to start the weekend over at Five Flags Speedway. From what I've been told from the conversations that I've had with folks over there, weather looks great. I was looking today. Looks like everything's getting loaded in, and that is going to be some kind of way to start it all off. It is the East Pensacola 150 happening, and that is on Saturday. And then you've got the Pensacola 200 for the super late models. All of that happening at the historic Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola. Of course, you can catch that right here. Actually, that's going to be on Track TV. The Saturday race on Track TV. So or the Sunday race, I'm sorry, on Track TV. So that's where you'll catch all that stuff. Be a subscriber, and you'll know where all of that happens. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were talking about why should I subscribe to Racing America? Because I have to pay for a pay-per-view. Here, one thing before I go, since I'm just on a freaking roll today about being pissed off at the world. I want you guys, all the streamers are great, all of them. And I work for multiple streamers. So let me go ahead and throw that disclaimer out. But look at what it costs you to be a subscriber to Racing America, and for the local content and for the series events and all of that you get. Take a look at that number. I'm not going to throw it out here. You guys do your own research. You all have the Google machine. You all can ask Siri. You guys can do all of that. If you don't want to type it in, just say Siri, and it'll happen. So take a look at what it costs you for Racing America and what you get, and then trickle in there the pay-per-views. And I guarantee if you look at it that way, you're going to see that it's a really good deal. It's a really good deal. High quality content and great racing from all around the country. Your favorite racetracks. But again, support all the streamers because they're the ones that are really helping short track racing stay alive. All right, guys. Next Wednesday, it'll be Johnny Stokes and I, along with possibly other folks. There is that QR code one more time. If you are interested in any of this Dirty Air stuff that I am wearing, you can check that out with our friends at On Demand Shirts, and they will get you hooked up. All right, guys. Y'all have a great week. Enjoy your race weekend. Get to a local short track. And if you can't get to a local short track, find a streamer that has something going on and support short track racing, because that's what this thing is all about. That is why we are doing this. Guys, remember, clean air is good. Times like this, 6 p.m. Central on Thursdays, 7 o'clock Eastern. Next week, Wednesday, Dirty air is just a tad bit better. Not a bad thing to get dirty. All right, you guys, have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.